Okay.
Jordan, we are having some connectivity issues, I think.
Are you having glitchy video?
Yes, and audio.
All right, I'm going to change it then. Thank you for telling me. Okay, should be good, better now.
Great. We don't have, okay, there you are.
Just take your
Okay, let's get started.
All right. I'm having some issues here, but all right, hopefully this is all set now. Welcome everybody. Thank you. Sorry for little technical difficulties as we get started. Those voices that you hear at the start, for anyone who doesn't know, is Jordan Riddell, who is the outstanding chief of staff here in the mayor's office, and Olivia Lavecchia, who is our communications specialist. So thank you to Jordan and Olivia for doing so much over the last almost 2 months now to make these sessions and other technical wonders happen. So welcome everybody. It's April 24th. We have a lengthy update today on a whole bunch of different fronts. Let's dive right into it. The first update is it's a topic we've talked about before, but there's been real progress over the last week with the City of Burlington Community Mask Initiative. This is the outstanding initiative that involved the city procuring materials and then working with a long list of community partners to try to first mask essential workers, and then we're starting now the effort to broaden that and get masks, these high quality cloth masks, to everyone who needs one here in Burlington. And we have our Chief Innovation Officer, Brian Lowe, back with us. And I think, Brian, you wanted to give us an update on how things are going.
Hey, thanks very much, Mayor. It definitely is a huge effort. I'm glad to see Chief Morrison is on here as well, because the police have been helping us tremendously with the distribution. But as of today, during the press conference, we think we're going to be producing about 10,042 masks distributed out into the community. There's a couple hundred more that may go out late tonight to the hospital. That'll put us closer to about 11,000. Not confirmed yet, so waiting on that last detail. But it represents a huge effort by just outstanding team of community sewers, Lyric Theater, and then also Vermont Teddy Bear has been enormously helpful to the city. And that those 10,000, nearly 11,000 masks represent 77 different organizations in town that have received those masks, and obviously about 11,000 people.
That is quite a milestone, Brian. 10,000 masks. You know, that's I've seen a number of other community masking efforts going on that have been just that I've seen on the internet and whatnot. 10,000 is substantially larger than any other initiative like this I've seen. So well done. Thank you to the many partners. Councilor Joan Shannon's been a leader in this. I think we have another slide here. We can see some of the partners listed there, but we've talked about the Lyric Theater Company in the past and their costume makers. We are starting to shift our attention to the this part 2 effort now, Brian. And I understand there's a next Tuesday we're trying something new. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we focus primarily on essential workers first, and we're able to meet that need. I don't remember exactly when, about 10 days ago. And obviously, as we've learned of new essential workers who need masks, we get those out as a priority. But Mayor, you've been pushing us to try and mask every Burlingtonian. And so what we've done, who wants one? And what we've done is we've called back through every nursing home in town to see if there's a continuing resident need there as our first priority. And we've started working with a number of different entities to help get masks out to community members who may be more vulnerable for whatever reason. And so Feeding Chittenden is getting another major distribution today, 800 more for them. They're going to be sharing with people who want them, who are coming to them for their services. We're also working with the school district to put out hundreds of masks through their food distribution program. And then as you can see on the slide here, a number of different community entities, Burlington Housing Authority, Howard Center COTS, and others. We're going to start prioritizing distributions through those channels. The thing that the mayor is alluding to here is that this coming week, we're also doing another thing. We're going to try to start distributing individual masks at different grocery stores and supermarkets. So at 6 a.m. on Tuesday, this coming week, April 28th, Zach Williamson from the Burlington City Arts team and myself will be joined by a police officer to start distributing masks at Market 32. And then on Thursday at 7 a.m., Thursday, April 30th at 7 a.m., we'll be at Hannaford's from 7 to 8, also distributing masks to folks who want them there as well. There are a couple other steps we want to take, but we wanted to test that first and see if that seems like a good way to get masks out to people who need them. And we're potentially expanding hours at different grocery stores, adding locations, and looking at different city facilities that could be additional distribution sites.
Great, Brian. I appreciate, I think all that's great. So the focus on, we know that this is a virus that is a threat to all of us. And at the same time, we know that there are certain groups that have substantially higher risk, health risk, and greater risk because of the type of living situation they're in. I think it's excellent to prioritize those groups. And then it is great to see that these meal sites, which we've talked about so many times in past briefings, that are where thousands of meals are being distributed every day. They also become these distribution points for educational materials, for materials from the library, now using them to get out to really some of the households in public housing and other large multifamily buildings, to get out the masks in those locations as well is a great next step. So thank you for being back with the update, Brian. We'll keep bringing you back as this initiative evolves. Stick around for a second, though. We are going to keep talking about masks and something that you also have been involved in, which is the employee masking policy. We think it's really important that City of Burlington employees be protected, and that we do our part to, as visible individuals in the community, and people that are coming into contact and will be coming into more contact in the weeks ahead as things start to reopen. It's really important to see Burlington employees be wearing masks. And so we now, this week, have developed a face covering policy. And we are providing all city employees with these high quality cloth masks. And essentially the rules, there's some detail in this policy, but essentially what it boils down to is that all employees are required to wear the covering over their nose and mouth when on duty and when in the presence of others. I have asked, we have this policy, we put some effort and care into it. We've tried to pay close attention to the governor's orders as well as CDC information, and we are going to be posting online, if we haven't done it already, this mask policy so that other organizations can look to it and consider using it for their organizations as well. So Olivia, actually, can you is that policy up online now? And where can people find it? Or where
I
should they
believe
find
it is, and it is available on the HR, in the HR section of the city website. We will get it cross-posted with some of the COVID-19 information as well.
All right, excellent. The you know, I guess if you just want to say, I'm not wearing a mask here now so that I can communicate this to you, I certainly do wear one of these community masks that we produce whenever I am outside and in the presence of others. There are a couple of cameramen at a distance here, but this is something I personally want to be really clear, I take very seriously and can do my best to follow the letter of this policy. The Olivia, I want to embarrass Brian now a little bit and bring up a graphic and point out that because of all this great work and much more, Brian Lowe has been has gotten just a great recognition of his outstanding work. This week, he was named the Bloomberg Cities Innovator of the Week. This is a national recognition. Bloomberg Cities is one of a number of different philanthropic organizations or organizations created by former Mayor Michael Bloomberg. And as a former mayor, he's had a real passion, a real focus around helping cities of all sizes internationally. The Bloomberg Cities is a source for a tremendous amount of information and has been very active during this emergency. And the fact that of all the innovation and effort that is happening across the world by municipalities to respond to this emergency, that Brian Lowe's work and the work of his analytics team, as he's the first point out, what he's done as part of this 10-person team is really quite remarkable that he's gotten this kind of notice. So it's on our Facebook page. I tweeted it out earlier. It's a nice little write-up that shows how really Brian got the idea for this based on his work in Afghanistan, where he was part of working across different organizations and expertises and what were called fusion cells. When I tasked him with giving us the capacity to respond to this crisis and hunt down best practices and advise the city for decisions through this, he really was quite innovative about how he's done it. And Brian, thank you for that work.
Mayor, thank you. It's definitely a team effort. I mean, cross-departmental and all kinds of team members. Thank you for your leadership. And I guess I should say I had no idea my first home haircut would be memorialized this way. So.
All right, we got a lot more to do here. We're gonna keep going. The governor spoke earlier today, and for the second Friday in a row, made a modest adjustment to his stay-home order. The language he uses is a slight turn of the spigot towards reopening the economy and society. It is a welcome change and a welcome loosening, particularly for people in the construction industry, and it will, like last week's change, allow the city to do a little bit more with its outdoor construction and really some of our major construction projects. I think you'll start to see more activity on now that I believe 5-person crews are being allowed. There's some new guidance in this order as well about farmers markets opening on May 1st across the state, and we'll have more to say about that as the Burlington Farmers Market first day gets closer to happening. But this is good news. It would not be news that would be possible so quickly before many states are able to start turning things back on if it weren't, again, for the hard work and the sacrifice of Burlingtonians and Vermonters. And here's the thing, though, the work isn't done. This is not the time to let up. No one should see in this loosening by the governor a green light to change what you've been doing over the last 6 weeks. If you've been doing good social distancing, careful, extreme social distancing, careful about what you're doing when you're outside of the home. The ability of us to continue to make progress and to go further with the loosening of the stay-home order entirely depends on how we all continue to conduct ourselves. So I wanted to make that point, make sure that it is important that you continue to follow the order. And I want to make the point that we're going to continue to have our police department and ambassadors in the parks out there trying to encourage people's compliance with the stay-home order. And because of that, as we often do on Fridays, we've asked Chief Jennifer Morrison to join us and talk about the city's enforcement efforts and how things are going. Chief, are you here?
Hey, I'm here. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Welcome.
I think you hit it on the head that we need to continue to appeal to Burlingtonians to continue to be compliant with the governor's executive order. And the main point is that even though we're starting to see some loosenings of the restrictions, all of those are built on the foundation of continuing to observe social distancing or 6-foot distancing, continuing to do frequent hand washing or gelling with disinfectant gel. Cloth masks are highly recommended, and cleaning of surfaces, et cetera. So everything that we do at this point forward has to build on the good practices and the safe practices that people should be taking right now. And the men and women of the Burlington Police Department, particularly as we look towards tomorrow, where the weather's supposed to be pretty nice. It's going to be one of the first nice weekend days we've had this year. We're going to be out and we're going to be doing what we call COVID-19 compliance checks in parks and public spaces. And we will continue to use the sharing of information and education as our first approach to people to gain compliance. We do have enforcement mechanisms that we have not yet had to take. We have been met with a really high percentage, a really high degree of compliance, because I think most people understand that we're all in this together and we need to all work together. But in the event that we do run into willful resistance of the governor's executive order, we do have municipal tickets that we can issue. And we hope that doesn't happen. We're looking forward to a really great weekend and seeing people get out and exercise, but still, you can still do that and follow the rules of the executive order. So thanks, Burlington, for your hard work to date. Let's keep it up.
Well, Chief, thank you. And thanks for being here to share that. And our next topic, we're going to keep talking about you a little bit because I have an update I want to share with everyone about the search for the next permanent police chief for Burlington. People know that Chief Morrison, who we just heard from, has been with us since January after serving for 23 years in the Burlington Police Department. She left us about 5 years ago, was the chief in Colchester for 5 years, and then rejoined us in January on an interim basis and has done an excellent job. More about that in a moment. When Chief Morrison came on, it was very clear that this was an interim assignment, that we would be conducting a robust search for the next permanent chief. And we began that work in January, circulating a job description, posting the position, assembling a search committee, and we were just about to start reviewing applications in early March when this coronavirus emergency hit. And as you all know, that has changed everything, and it has changed the reality that we have confronted as we've been considering, how to make this appointment. So after some weeks of thinking about this and consulting with the city council and the police commission, I had determined that we should suspend our search for the next police chief for 1 year, as it really is not currently possible to conduct a robust search process that involves out-of-state candidates visiting Burlington and meeting with many stakeholders in the community. And it's not clear when those conditions are going to change to allow that in the months ahead. And further, it's my strong sense that many candidates who would have been strong candidates for this position are now being called on to serve their own communities during this time of crisis in a way that few will feel it's responsible for them to continue to seek out other job opportunities. So thankfully, we have an excellent interim option, and that is that Chief Morrison, who we just heard from, has made an offer that I didn't expect back when she joined us in January, and I don't think she expected, and that is that she has offered, and I have accepted, that she will return to the city after taking approximately 3 months off this summer for medical leave to care for her husband, who's going through a major surgery. In October, she expects to be able to return and continue with her interim service. And she has committed that she will come back and stay in that role until this new timeline is met. So the timeline I mentioned before of suspending this search until next April. We would then resume this in next April, and I would expect that there would be several months from that point before a new chief would be appointed by me and confirmed by the city council. So I do want to be really clear that this pause in the search process is not a pause in the important work in this community of continuing to make our outstanding police department even better. And in my conversations with the city council and the police commission, I've been clear, and I know that the members of those bodies think it's really important that we continue to work on the recommendations made by the Special Policing Committee, the Special Committee on the Review of Policing Policies, and other work that is ongoing in the department. We're going to work really hard to make sure that we keep making progress under the leadership of Chief Morrison during this period. Last thing on this I think I want to point out is that during that period where Chief Morrison is on leave, Deputy Chief John Murad will serve as the acting chief during that period. I imagine there might be questions about that we'll take at the end, but for now, let me hit a number of other items. We want to give everyone an update on the city's food relief program and a new small business task force that we are launching today. The small business task force is being convened to respond to the large and growing need in our small business community, our restaurants, retailers, other small businesses that have been hit so hard by coronavirus and by the various government orders that have come along with it, and that face great uncertainty about how they will operate in the months ahead. The meeting is going to focus on what that reopening looks like. It's going to focus on how the city can advocate for small businesses with the state and federal government, and there will be a focus on what the city of Burlington itself can do directly to help small businesses through this time. There's no doubt that our restaurants and shops are part of what makes downtown Burlington such a vibrant and wonderful place to live in and visit. And if we aren't, that group of businesses faces a challenge unlike anything we've seen in decades. This is the biggest challenge in the history of the Church Street marketplace. The city has to take a really active, collaborative role if we're still going to have a healthy community of small businesses on the other side of this emergency. And that's what this task force is focused on doing. We'll try to keep people posted here about any recommendations, proposed actions that come out of these meetings. The other update I want to give is about the RRC, the Burlington Resource and Recovery Center's food relief program. This program was launched at one of these briefings back on April 3rd as a 5-week pilot project, and this was intended to be supplemental to all of the outstanding community meal programs that exist in this area. This is intended to be a supplement to them as there was a surge in the need for these meals. And the pilot has shown that we need to keep doing this. The way this works is that local volunteer restaurants receive a day a week where they make the meals and they get a $500 stipend from City Market, and they cook 200 individual meals. And then volunteers with the RRC deliver those meals to partner nonprofits. We are announcing here an additional $5,000 in new funds from the United Response Fund to continue.
Scheduler is Linda Murphy, right?
Were you trying to say something there, Chief Morrison? No. So the $5,000 that'll last for another 10 of these $500 a day efforts, and we thank the United Way for this commitment. The United Way is in position to do this because they have now raised more than $230,000 to meet needs like this through their United Response Fund. That, when this fund first started, we weren't totally sure in this time of extreme financial disruption we were going to be able to raise $25,000. To see this hit the $230,000 mark is really a tribute to the generosity of this community. We thank Jesse Bridges and the United Way of Northwestern Vermont for this ongoing partnership. Now we have another update on another program, the Trusted Community Voices program, which was launched on April 10th. The idea of the Trusted Community Voices program was to improve communications between the city and our new American communities. And we've been doing this in a number of ways. There has been a major effort put into the translation of the critical materials since this crisis began. The Trusted Community Voices program seeks to go beyond that by identifying and making part of the city team leaders from 5 different communities. And we have made progress with that. And we have Pitt from CEDO, who has long worked with the New American communities here in Burlington, back to give us an update on Trusted Community Voices. So Pitt, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Thanks, Mayor.
Great. Excellent. Welcome. Welcome back.
Thank
Tell
you.
us here. I know you have some exciting news.
Yes, we're definitely excited to welcome 4 new members to the city team, our engagement and outreach team. And again, the Trusted Community Voices is definitely an essential program to help us enhance engagement and build relationships and outreach with immigrant and refugee communities. So I'd like to introduce some of the leaders that we have. We have Alicia Van Dijk, Hemet Gissing, Mohammed Abdullahi. And we don't have with us today, but she did record a video, Tiffany Katsuba. So I'll hand it over to them to introduce themselves and just to share a little bit about what they're thinking and excited about with this new program themselves. So Alicia, I'll let you go first.
Hi, my name is Alicia, and I work for the school district as a liaison. I do interpretation and translation for the school district, and I've been working for the school district for the last 6 years. So I think when FET called me and told me that they are putting together like a trusted community voices where we can bring voices from our communities, it was just, it was humbled by that decision, because certain times people have issues that they cannot have anyone to speak for. So it would be an amazing thing for me to be a liaison between the community and the city. And I hope that I will be able to serve them, because I think I'm here mostly for my community. And I will, it's my first, it's a first time that I have to play this role, but I'm waiting, I'm gonna wait and see how this is gonna go. So it's a privilege. I'm so humbled by this, and I hope that I'll be able to be that voice that the community needs, and to be able to be like that, bridge between the community and the city in these very hard times. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Hamid, do you want to go next?
Oh, sure. Hi, Meryl and all the teams together.
Hi,
I'm very
so great to have
excited.
you.
Thanks, after some years of gaps in between. Yeah, my name is Hemant Gissing, and I also work for Burlington School District for last, since 2011, the first time that I came to the US. The idea about having trusted community voices, I think, is very culturally responsive strategy and approach. As I know my community, the Bhutanese Nepali community in Burlington and greater Burlington areas, there are a lot of adults who are illiterate in their own language. So having translated items in a written form actually reaches to the people who are literate. And then most of our adult population depends upon the word of mouth. So I feel that this approach, when FET talk about it, I think it's very culturally responsive. I think it is also probably same to other refugee communities, immigrant communities as well, at large, the new Americans. I'm here, and I will try my best to represent the city and help get rid of fighting together against these terrible viruses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Do we have Mohammed here?
Hello, do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Mohammed. I am from Somali community, and I work at the airport for United Airlines for last 4 years, and I also do translate for Essex schools, and also work with the Vermont Refugee Resettlement as an interpreter at UVM Medical Center. I am excited to hear this from Burlington City, and I appreciate that you guys are trying to kind of connecting communities who are in needed at this difficult time. Because most of our people, the way my brother was saying, is correct. Like they don't read and they don't write. There are few of them who only like read it. So this is the best chance that they can get information. I really like this because we tried as a community before. I organized some community members to set up way of communication. We have a WhatsApp, which we have every Saturday and Sunday. We have a meeting on updating what's from the, around resources that they needed to know. what's the new things that they have to follow. So we were already doing this, which we have to every Sunday and Saturday, we pass the information that we get locally. So I'm very happy that I can still help them. So thank you.
And we do have a recorded video from Tiffany. I don't know if we're ready to show that, or
let's. I have not done a screen share with sound before, so let's try it. Let's see how it goes. Give me 1 second to pull that up.
While Olivia's doing that, I just want to say that all of the leaders have come with really great high remarks and respect from not only the community themselves that they are doing outreach with, but agencies, our partner agencies, such as the Immigration and Refugee Resettlement agencies, and they're natural community organizers too. So I'm really excited with this team and see what we can do together.
Can you see the still of Tiffany's video? Great. Okay, let's see if the sound comes through.
Hello, my name is Tiffany Kachuva. I moved to Vermont in 2012 from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where I was born and raised. For the last 3 years, I've been working with immigrant families and refugees, helping them connect with the resources available for them. I'm excited for this new opportunity because I want my community voice to be heard. I also want them to know that they matter and that together with the city, we can change Vermont for the better. Thank you.
Well, great. Well done, Olivia, first of all. And Pitt, thank you for assembling this excellent new group, this new set of team members. I want to say welcome to all of you. Thank you for agreeing to serve in this way. One of the principles that we've had throughout this crisis is that we're all in this together, that no one's going to get left behind. And we're all dependent on each other for our collective community health, and that it's really good it's really hard to make good on that goal if we're not communicating properly with everyone in this city. And to hear, as Mohammed described, that there are many people that aren't going to be able to, the only chance to properly communicate is through a program like this, is really affirming that this is an important step. So thank you all for your service. I look forward to working with you, and I hope my real goal for this program is that this is critical for getting us through this emergency, but that it then makes us a better city on the other side, and that we have better, stronger relationship between the city and all of our new American communities from this point forward. And you guys are going to be the people that make that a reality. So thank you. I'm deeply appreciative of what you've agreed to do. We have two final items. And I believe our Church Street Marketplace Director Cara is here to help me with this one. There is a new federal aid package that is just about to be signed. I think maybe it has been signed. Things happen so quickly right now. It's challenging to keep up. It's clear what's in it. There is a $484 billion agreement. In normal times, this would be shockingly large, major piece of legislation. In this emergency, it's it's considered a half step. It's called a step 3.5. While there's a fourth coronavirus bill being worked on, it is a significant half step, though. And one that should have a significant further impact on helping businesses in this community. Cara, are you on with us? Can you speak more to some of the details?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so as you cheated up, you're right, it's a 484 billion relief package. It was approved by the Senate a couple days ago and the House yesterday. I think what's probably most important to our community is the 310 billion in the Paycheck Protection Program. And that has been added on. Previously, that program had been 350 billion. Unfortunately, it does look like it's structured as a first come, first serve basis. I am hearing, though, that if your application was in, your financial institution will be resubmitting it for this second round. However, we do urge everyone to reach out to whoever they applied with for the first round and confirm that they still want to be in it for the second round and they want their application resubmitted. So we do urge people to do that. There's 60 billion for the small business loans and grants that are going to also be out there. 50 billion in loans, 10 billion in grants. I think a part that's really important, especially because we just had Pitt on to discuss, is the 30 billion that's set aside for in this legislation that it's termed community development financial institutions, but that includes minority financial institutions, certified development companies, and microloan intermediaries. So historically, those are financial institutions that have been there to serve smaller customers. They have smaller deposit requirements. They have, and they've also been there to serve the New American community. And so the part that they've carved out 30 billion for that, I think, I'm hoping will help our community especially, and will maybe, hopefully, it'll get us past some of the issues we had with the first round of PPP, where some larger institutions were gobbling up some of those pieces. So this carve out, I think, is an important difference.
Great, Cara. So just to recap, this is almost a doubling of the initial program, the initial PPP program. The reason so much more is being put in is because this was dramatically oversubscribed.
Correct.
This is a first come, first serve program. So Vermonters did really well in the first round of this. We had more than $1 billion of the initial, what was it, Car? Initial 340 billion?
350, yeah, 349 billion was the first round, and Vermont got $1 billion of that.
And that meant, and that's disproportionate for our population. We got a disproportionate amount because Vermont businesses and organizations, and I shouldn't say businesses, it's really any organization that has a payroll, just about, it can potentially apply for this. And that certainly includes 501c3s,
yep,
nonprofits. And those groups here in Vermont moved quick the first time. If we know the money went very quickly the first time nationally, I expect this 310 or 370, if you count the other 60 there on the screen, will go even faster because of what Cara just said, that a lot of people already have the paperwork in. So I think that point is an excellent, Cara. If you got your paperwork in once and got denied, make sure your institution is resubmitting it. If you haven't gotten your paperwork in yet, and you have trouble doing so and don't know who to turn to, don't know what bank to work with, we can help you. The RRC is here to help in exactly this kind of situation. We want you to reach out to us. That's why the contact information is there on your screen. And listen, I'm going to go a little bit farther here and just say, I know some people have been hesitant to apply for this money because this program, there are some concerns, legitimate concerns about various details of how this is set up, and there's questions about how this program is going to work. My sense is that there are ways to navigate through that and be very careful. And the attitude I would take, I would say, if I was still a small-time entrepreneur like I was before this job is it seems to me, if you're on the fence, I think you really got to think seriously about getting your application in, getting your allocation, and figuring out in the weeks and months and years from now how you use this money in a way that is smartest for you and that does not create additional financial exposure for you. My sense is if you're careful about it, there's a way to do it. If you hesitate and you don't put in an application, you're going to lose the chance to do so. You know, I would, and it's not just me, the experts that we're talking to are increasingly recommending strategies like this. Get your application in, figure out the details later. You want to add to that at all, Cara? You want to?
No, I absolutely agree, and we have been talking to a lot of lending institutions in the city, and they would agree with that. Even if people are more nervous, you could even say get your application in, and if you change your mind, you don't have to accept the funds. But I think the important first step is to get your application in if you don't already have it in. If you have it in and you didn't receive the funds, again, reach out to your lending institution.
Great. And, you know, again, we are talking about $370 billion here, $1 billion that went to Vermont businesses already. That dwarfs any kind of direct aid that the city is going to be able to provide, or I suspect even the state is going to be able to provide. This is really important if you're one of the businesses that has been hit so hard on this that you give serious thought to this. Okay. Last item, then we'll open up for questions. The Fun at Home resource of the day. This one comes from Burlington City Arts, which has had a whole host of new online resources rolled out in recent weeks. Tomorrow, they are launching a virtual version of their very popular Family Art Saturday program. This is a video art activity that will connect families to the BCA's current exhibition. The teaching artist Jesse Baldwin will guide families through the process of making their own clay with simple ingredients found in the kitchen. Wow. That is, knowing that we know anytime the city does anything with clay, it's hugely popular. Our clay studio is always oversubscribed. Here's a way to deal with that at home. Those are some great images. Olivia, thank you for putting that together. Thank you to Doreen Kraft and her team for finding a way to keep connecting families with the arts, even as we go into, I guess, finish up, depending on how you're counting. I think this is basically the 6th week of this stay-at-home posture. And thank you to the BCA as well as the other city departments working to create new opportunities for people to do at home. Okay, that is the briefing for today. I'd be happy to answer questions if you guys have any here in the studio.
Sure. So regarding that employee masking policy, will that be
Yes.
for all employees or specifically for city employees?
Yeah, sorry. Thank you for that clarification. This is a city employee policy. So for people that work for the city, we are making a requirement that employees wear masks in most work situations when they're not working from home. If they are simply working by themselves, sitting by themselves, not in proximity to others, they don't have to have a mask on. But in just about every other condition, city employees going forward are expected to wear masks. It is my hope that other organizations, businesses here in Burlington and elsewhere consider putting such policies in place for their employees. And I certainly endorse fully the governor's recommendation and the CDC's recommendation that all Vermonters wear face coverings when they are outside of their homes. And that is part of why we're working so hard with this community masking initiative, so that people here in Burlington have high quality masks when they're doing that. When they do that, that is a, as the governor reasserted today, that however is not a requirement. That is something that's up to individual choice, but it is highly recommended. Great. You're all set? Okay, great. Olivia, is there any other questions that you've got?
No, reminder for members of the media who are watching, if you can email your questions to me. But maybe let's give people 10 more seconds in case they have any. But right now, nothing on my end.
Well, we got on my screen, at least, I see Chief Morrison up there. Chief, thank you again for your service, for responding in this time of need to the city, and for your willingness to continue your excellent service longer than you'd initially planned. It's fortunate to have that.
Yeah, I think it's a great solution to unprecedented times, and I love serving the city. So I'm happy to come back when we get our medical situation stabilized.
So, Chief, if you don't mind me asking, when will you be going on medical leave?
I'm just going to stop my contractual employment with the city, so it's not a leave, it's not a paid leave. My last day will be June 12th, and my husband's stem cell transplant process starts on the 15th, and we need to leave and relocate to Boston for a bit of time. So I won't be in Burlington or in the area to be able to help out.
Understood. That was my confusion. Sorry I shouldn't use the word leave, so thank you for clarifying that, Chief.
We wish him a speedy recovery and good luck with everything.
Thanks. He's pretty tough so far, so we're hopeful.
Glad to hear.
And Chief, I do have a question for you from Liam Elder Connors from VPR.
Mm-hmm.
His question is, are you going to consider applying for the permanent position?
No, I'm not, but thank you for asking. It's not because I don't love the city. I have had now 23 and a half amazing years with the city, but we really are hoping that my husband's health will be restored to a place where we can do the things in retirement that we had planned to do before he fell ill almost a year ago.
And this one is from Courtney Lambden at 7 days. Do you have an expected return date in October?
So the hope is that at the end of what's called the first 100 days following a stem cell transplant, that at the end of the first 100 days that my husband would be strong enough to take care of all his own needs and I'd be able to, not be a caregiver. But it's a dynamic situation and we just won't know until, every day is a new day. So we're hoping that 100 days following the stem cell transplant that I would be able to return. So late September, early first week of October, hopefully.
One more from Courtney. This one I think is for you, Mayor. When did the police commission weigh in on the plan for the police chief hiring if they haven't been meeting?
I sent a communication in writing to the council last week and to the commission at the beginning of this week, sharing what I was thinking and seeking input and offering to talk with any commissioner who was interested in understanding the decision further. I laid out my thinking to both the council and the commission in those written communications, and all of the people that I heard back from were supportive of the decision. The only a number of people made the point that I tried to make in the statement earlier, that the only concern, everyone not only supported this decision, I think a big part of their support of this decision is they are very appreciative of what Chief Morrison has been doing since her return and has confidence in her. And the only concern people had is that we continue to make progress over what could be I expect to be approximately 15-month period of time from now on the important policing work that we've laid out. And there's challenges doing that with an interim chief, but if any interim chief can do it, I think it's Chief Morrison. And we have a report that came out of this special policing committee that had some consensus behind it about what we should be focused on, and we're gonna keep working on that during this period. I know Chief Morrison has a number of internal issues that she's continuing to work on as well. So I do think this will not be a time of, we're not just going to tread water for the next year. We're going to continue to make progress. And
not my style at all, and certainly not what I think would be, you know, the right way to go. I do want to point out that Deputy Chief Murad was heavily involved in the Committee on Policing Practices and is fully prepared to start implementing recommendations that are appropriate. And he has a great rapport with many of the people that were on the committee. I have 100% confidence in his ability, and him being supported by Deputy Chief Matt Sullivan. I have 100% confidence that they are going to do an outstanding job in the interval that I'm away. And to some degree, John has even greater understanding of the needs of that committee and the implementation, because he was involved in the work of the committee. I came in about the time the committee was delivering a report. So to some degree, I think he's actually the guy for the job as far as advancing the initiatives from that report, sir. So I'm totally expecting that we will continue to make progress, and treading water is not my style, never has been, and you'd be disappointed if I did.
A few more questions here. Aiden, I'm seeing you at the same time asked a question about the Chiefs restart date in October. I think we covered that one, but let me know if you need anything further. And then Liam has a question. Is there a plan if Chief Morrison is unable to return to the interim role in the fall?
Yeah, the plan would be for the acting chief. So I am announcing today that John Murad will serve as the acting chief when Chief Morrison departs to be with her husband. And if for some reason, you know, as Chief Morrison just acknowledged, there is always some uncertainty about, she's been incredibly frank and public about what her family's going through. So I think it's a fair question. We're all rooting very hard for Wayne, and as we know, he's a tough man, and we're quite hopeful about this plan. If somehow something were to change with this plan, my plan would be for acting Chief Murad to continue his tenure until until the process was restarted on the timeline I laid out.
Another question from Aiden Quigley at VT Digger. Is Deputy Chief Matt Sullivan in that role on a permanent basis? And if so, when did that hire take place?
Yes, he's been promoted to the rank of Deputy Chief, and boy, it was right in the middle of all this COVID-19 chaos. So I'm going to guess that it was April 6th was his official promotion date, 2.5 weeks ago. But of course, we haven't been able to have a promotion ceremony or even shake his hand to say congratulations at this point. But yes, that is a permanent promotion. I mean, permanent in that he has a year of probation upon promotion, as everyone else does when they get promoted up a rank. But yes, it's a permanent position.
I'll go on mute here.
All right, and that is all we have on my end.
Very good. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We do expect to have another briefing on Monday. The focus of Monday's briefing will largely be about the city council meeting. There are a number of COVID-19 related items on the council agenda for Monday, and I do think we'll end up talking about some non-emergency items at that briefing as well. So hope to see you back then. Have a good weekend, everyone. Stay safe. Keep up the great work. Things are on the right direction. Let's keep it that way. All right. See you all soon. Bye bye.
All right. Bye.